Hey learners, welcome back to Edu Intern Voyage. Your learning journey starts.
Ten marks. What are the characteristics of a company? A company is an artificial person created by law and incorporated under the Companies Act, 2013. It has a separate legal existence from its members and possesses various distinctive features. One separate legal entity. A company has a legal identity separate from its shareholders and directors. It can own property, enter into contracts, and sue or be sued in its own name. Example, Salomon v. Salomon & Co. Limited, 1897. 2. Perpetual succession. A company enjoys continuous existence irrespective of the death, insolvency, or retirement of its members. The company continues until it is legally dissolved. Example, change in shareholders does not affect the existence of the company. 3. Limited liability. The liability of shareholders is limited to the unpaid amount on the shares held by them. Their personal assets are protected from company debts. 4. Artificial legal person. A company is an artificial person created by law. Although it cannot act on its own, it acts through its directors and officers. 5. Separate property. The property of a company belongs to the company itself and not to its shareholders. Members have no direct ownership rights over company assets. 6. Common seal. The common seal is considered the official signature of a company. It is affixed to important documents to authenticate them. 7. Transferability of shares. Shares of a company can generally be transferred from one person to another, subject to the provisions of the Companies Act and Articles of Association. 8. Capacity to sue and be sued. A company can initiate legal proceedings against others and can also be sued in its own name. 9. Separate management. The ownership and management of a company are separate. Shareholders own the company, while directors manage its affairs. 10. Voluntary association. A company is formed voluntarily by persons who agree to contribute capital and carry on business for a common objective. Conclusion. The important characteristics of a company are separate legal entity, perpetual succession, limited liability, separate property, transferability of shares, and professional management. These features make the company form of business one of the most popular and efficient forms of business organization. Lifting or piercing the corporate veil. Introduction. A company is a separate legal entity distinct from its members. However, in certain circumstances, courts may ignore this separate legal personality and identify the real persons behind the company. This is known as lifting or piercing the corporate veil. Meaning. Lifting the corporate veil means looking beyond the company's legal existence to determine the individuals who control and operate it. This principle is applied to prevent misuse of the corporate form. Circumstances for lifting the corporate veil. 1. To prevent fraud. When a company is formed to commit fraud or deceive others, the court may lift the corporate veil and hold the persons responsible. Example, formation of a company to cheat creditors. 2. To prevent tax evasion. The veil may be lifted if a company is used as a device to evade taxes. Example, creating fake companies to reduce tax liability. 3. Agency relationship. When a company acts merely as an agent of its shareholders, the court may identify the real principle behind the company. 4. Protection of public interest. The corporate veil may be lifted to protect public welfare and national interests. 5. Determination of enemy character. During war or national emergencies, courts may determine whether a company is controlled by enemy nationals. 6. Improper or illegal conduct. When a company is used for unlawful or improper purposes, the court may disregard its separate legal entity. Example, money laundering or illegal business activities. 7. Avoidance of legal obligations. If a company is formed to avoid contractual or statutory obligations, the veil may be lifted. Important case law. Guilford Motor Co. Limited v. Horn, 1933. Mr. Horn formed a company to avoid a contractual restriction. The court lifted the corporate veil and held that the company was formed to evade legal obligations. Salomon v. Salomon & Co. Limited, 1897. This case established the principle of separate legal entity, but it also laid the foundation for exceptions where the veil may be lifted. Conclusion. The doctrine of lifting or piercing the corporate veil is an exception to the principle of separate legal entity. Courts apply this doctrine to prevent fraud, tax evasion, illegal activities, and misuse of corporate personality. It ensures that justice prevails over technical legal formalities. 3. Basis. Company. Partnership. LLP. Governing law. Companies Act, 2013. Indian Partnership Act, 1932. LLP Act, 2008. Legal status. Separate legal entity. No separate legal entity. Separate legal entity. Liability. Limited liability. Unlimited liability. Limited liability. Minimum members. 1. OPC, 2. Private, 7. Public. 2. Maximum members. As per Act. 50, generally. No maximum limit. Perpetual succession. Yes. No. Yes. Ownership. Shareholders. Partners. Partners. Management. Board of Directors. Partners. Designated partners. Transfer of interest. Easily transferable. Requires consent of partners. Transfer subject to LLP agreement. Registration. Mandatory. Optional. Mandatory. 4. Explain the major classification of companies. Introduction. The Companies Act, 2013 classifies companies on various bases such as incorporation, liability, number of members, and control. This classification helps in understanding the structure and functioning of different types of companies. Diagram, classification of companies. Companies based on incorporation. Introduction. Based on the method of incorporation, companies are classified into 3 types: chartered companies, statutory companies, and registered companies. 1. Chartered company. A chartered company is formed under a royal charter granted by the King or Queen. Such companies were common during the British period. Example, East India Company. 2. Statutory company. A statutory company is established by a special act passed by Parliament or a state legislature. Its powers and functions are defined by the act. Example, Life Insurance Corporation, LIC, Reserve Bank of India, RBI. 3. Registered company. A registered company is incorporated under the Companies Act, 2013 or any previous company law. Most companies in India belong to this category. Example, Infosys Limited, Tata Consultancy Services Ltd. 2. Classification of companies based on liability. Introduction. Based on the liability of members, companies are classified into company limited by shares, company limited by guarantee, and unlimited company. This classification determines the extent to which members are liable for the debts of the company. 1. Company limited by shares. In this type of company, the liability of members is limited to the unpaid amount on the shares held by them. Members are not personally liable beyond this amount. Example, Reliance Industries Limited, Infosys Ltd. 2. Company limited by guarantee. In this type of company, members undertake to contribute a specified amount towards the liabilities of the company in the event of winding up. These companies are usually formed for non-profit purposes. Example, clubs, charitable associations, educational institutions. 3. Unlimited company. In an unlimited company, there is no limit on the liability of members. Members may be required to use their personal assets to pay company debts if the company's assets are insufficient. Example, rarely used in practice. 3. Classification of companies based on number of members. Introduction. Based on the number of members, companies are classified into one-person company, OPC, private company, and public company. This classification helps determine the size and structure of the company. 1. One-person company, OPC. A one-person company is a company that has only one member. It allows a single entrepreneur to enjoy the benefits of a corporate entity. Related Act, Section 2, 62, Companies Act, 2013. Example, a business owned and incorporated by a single individual. 2. Private company. A private company is a company that restricts the transfer of shares and cannot invite the public to subscribe to its shares. It requires a minimum of 2 members and a maximum of 200 members. Related Act, Section 2, 68, Companies Act, 2013. Example, many family-owned and start-up companies. 3. Public company. A public company is a company that can invite the public to subscribe to its shares. It requires a minimum of 7 members, and there is no limit on the maximum number of members. Related Act, Section 2, 71, Companies Act, 2013. Example, Reliance Industries Limited, Tata Steel Ltd. 4. Classification of companies based on control. Introduction. Based on control, companies are classified into holding companies and subsidiaries.
Student who wants simple, clear, and reliable study content. Subscribe to Edu Intern Voyage, like the videos, and start your learning journey today.